Hey there nation, welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back with another episode of A Deathly Desire. This is our limited series that is dedicated to the painting, building, as well as designing of our 3,000 point Slaanesh Legion of Chaos army for Warhammer Fantasy Battle, and this is the current layout of our army. And as you can see, we've actually got quite a bit of work completed so far on this army. It's looking absolutely fantastic. Loving the way that the color scheme is coming out of these guys. Loving the way how they're looking assembled. It just looks all kinds of awesome so far. So as you can see here, we've got actually quite a bit completed. We've also made some changes to the army list. It is a by the time we get done with this army, it's going to be about 3,000 points, but we decided to change up a little bit of the contents of the army just a little. The reason why is because originally this army actually combined these two units, this unit of Marauders as well as Beastmen, to make a unit of 50 Bestigors. And while that does sound really awesome, it's kind of like putting all of your eggs in the all in one basket in terms of points for your army. So because I decided just to kind of divide up a little bit and make my army have a little bit more unit choice, a little bit more flexibility and movement, in order to help out with a lot of things that might have been a shortcoming from my army. So as you can see here, we've actually made some adjustments to it. Now, for the most part, of course, most of this you've already seen so far. First of all, you've seen our two chariots. So we have our first chariot there, the Sign of Sylph. You've also seen the Depravity of Enoch, which is the second chariot. You guys have also seen our Gore-Beast chariot before, which is to call it the Denied One. So now let's go and talk about our units real quick. So first of all, this is going to be called the Infernal Blades. What this is, unit of 19 Chaos Marauders with full command. They'll be equipped with flails in the battlefield, and leading them will be Wolfric the Wanderer. So that's my proxy model for a miniature for Wolfric the Wanderer. It's made by Reaper Minis. You guys have seen this guy quite a bit before, especially if you watched our Age of Sigmar battle reports. Now this guy was being used, I believe it's what it called, a Fate Master, I believe is what we used to call that guy. But I decided to use him for the Slaanesh Legion instead. So that would be Wolfric the Wanderer. That way I could use the Ambusher special rule, the Sea Fang special rule that character has. So that way I can attack war machines and things like that. Like I said, this army is kit out to be very, very quick. The base movement value for everything in the army is about movement 6, all except for this unit. And the reason why is because this unit will be using Ambusher rule, so it doesn't really need to have that. That way it can kind of pop up my enemy's rear deployment, really capture a pincer attack and add some shock value as well. And of course, it'll be Mark Slaanesh as well. And of course, you guys saw the Beast, the mini with our Doom Bull. That's an Ankari, the Despoiler, as well as Jacques the Overseer, which are War Gore. It's going to be reduced down to a unit of 30 Bestigor now. But still, 30 Bestigor is still nothing to slouch out. So because of that's what's going to be the second one. So you guys have seen those two units and how they've been completed. You guys have also seen the Flesh Carnival, which is of course our unit of 16 Forsaken, led by our Chaos Sorcerer on a Demonic Mount. You guys have seen that unit as well. So cool that goes there. You guys have also seen our 5 Warhounds as well. We talked about those guys last time as well. And of course, there's this Lambo miniature. Like I said, this guy is not really so much part of the unit as he's just kind of there for, set dressing. But kind of rearrange my points. That way I can have a unit of Warhounds in the army, so that way I can use some chaff if I need to. And the reason why I've included this miniature is because, one, I had an extra miniature that I just didn't know what to do with. And secondly, back in the mid-90s when I first got into Warhammer, there was a really cool heavy metal picture that showed a Chaos Warrior leading a pack of Warhounds, which I thought was really cool looking. So I decided to add that as well. Now, the newest unit that we have added to our army is this one right here. It is our unit of Demonettes of Slaanesh. This is called the Empty Orchestra. It's a unit of 24 Demonettes of Slaanesh. Now, the nice thing about this unit is that we can run it as a couple of things. First of all, we can run it as a unit of 23 Demonettes with a Herald, and they'll use the Infernal Rapturous character that's from the Wrath and Ruin box set to be the Herald of Slaanesh in that one. So you can see this is the newest unit that we've actually got completed. It looks really, really awesome as well. Now, if you're wondering about the paint scheme on this one, if you notice, the paint scheme is a little bit different for these Demonettes than you usually see for most armies. For most armies, whenever they paint up Demonettes, what they kind of go with is kind of like this purplish, grayish color hide, and of course black for the corsets, and then, like a darker purple for the claws and stuff. Now, if you notice, my Demonettes look very, very different from that. They're more flesh-colored. And the reason why is because when I first got into Warhammer Fantasy Battle, was back in the mid-90s during the 4th edition of Warhammer Fantasy Battle, also known as the Hero Hammer edition. At that time, Demonettes of Slaanesh were painted this actual flesh color. So let's go and zoom in real quick. So you can see here, my Demonettes are painted with this flesh color. And the reason why that was the case is because that's originally how Demonettes looked. They had flesh, pale flesh. None of them had any hair at that time. The miniatures range didn't have any hair on that. And then, of course, they had their black corsets, of course, and then chainmail and things of that nature. But what they really had was really interesting because it was their claws. The claws on the Demonettes for those miniatures were much wider than these ones. They looked more like traditional crab claws than they actually do in these ones. These ones look, of course, more like serrated, thinly veiled ones that are like really super deadly and looks like they slice right through you. But the original crab claws that they came with were like, actually look like real crab claws, and they're more for like crushing rather than slicing. So because of that, I decided to, and they were painted red, is what they were. They were red with pink highlights on it. So because of that, I decided to kind of go with that classic look, is what I decided to go with for my Slaanesh Demonettes. Just because I wanted my Demonettes to look a little bit different. Like I said, I've always trying to experiment and try new things with my armies. Whenever I paint up stuff, try to experiment with new color schemes. And that's the way I wanted to go. I wanted to go with that 90s classic look because that was the look I grew up with, and that's what I usually associate with Demonettes. So you can see here the Demonettes are pretty much painted the same way. They got pale flesh, they got glowing green eyes like they did in the classic edition, and their claws, as you can see, are also bright red. They're also picked a little bit with some pink on there. I alternated the hair between this candy pink color with this Concord grape purple to add some variety within the unit as well. As you can see, their corsets that they're wearing are black. I also rimmed those in gold as well. A lot of gold on these miniatures. So you can see the banner there did in black, pink and purple as well. And so that's pretty much what I kind of went with this one. Same thing with the Infernal Raptress. I kind of went with this pink color for her skirt that she's wearing and blue for her hair. This is really just sinister about this dude that made into a giant harp. Using his tendons off his back to do it, which is kind of creepy. But very appropriate for Slaanesh, because Slaanesh is all about. So yeah, that's exactly what I did for this unit. This unit actually took quite a bit of time to paint up, and the reason why is just because I had so many of them due. It wasn't that they were so much difficult to paint individually, it's just that when you have 20 of these things, it can take a little while to work on all of them. But all in all, I was very, very happy with the end result. So you can see here, for example, if you look at their claws and their feet, they're black. Any claws or spines or talons that come out of the flesh, those are black, while the talons on their crab claws I actually paint up to be like a bone color. So, just things like that. Now, if you're wondering how we paint these ladies up, don't worry, I'm going to have a video dropping soon about how to cheaply and quickly paint up some Demonettes of Slaanesh. That video will be dropping here pretty soon, so that way you can see exactly the techniques we use to paint it up. And of course, we went with the purple and gray bases to make it match with the rest of the army. And so far, I really like the way it came out so far. It looks really, really cool. So it's kind of neat because, at the same time, you have that pink color that's kind of matching with the Flesh Carnival, but at the same time, though, they have their own kind of unique color scheme too because they have a lot of flesh, So at the same time, this is purple and pink, whereas these guys are more like turquoise with theirs. So it's kind of neat. It's kind of cool. You can see how each of the members of this army is kind of tied together with color schemes. Purple is the key color that I use to tie up all these armies together. So for example, you got the purple hair and the purple on them. You got purple on that guy, purple on these dudes. Definitely purple on my Bestigors, purple and stuff like that with these guys. Same thing with the chariots. So that's the color that kind of goes throughout it. And plus the basing also really helps too. But at the same time though, each of the units is also very distinct in their color scheme. So they're all kind of unique. They all don't look all exactly the same. Not to mention, this is a very brightly colored, vibrant army, which only seems appropriate because, Slaanesh is all about that. Really, really happy with the way that this army is turning out so far. So that is where our current progress is at right now, and as always, we're going to talk about our future projects next. Alright, so here's my painting station. If you guys follow us on Facebook and Instagram, you've definitely seen this painting station before. You see exactly, it's all stained up and nasty. I really got to clean off this cutting mat because it's just covered in paint right now at this point. I really need to make it look nice. But anyways, so as you can see here, this is the new project they're working on now for the army. We are all done with the infantry portions of the army. The only thing we got to work on next are the cavalry units. So as you can see here, I got 5 Seekers, I believe they're called, Seekers of Slaanesh. So I got some Demonettes over here. I'm going to go with a little bit more of a different color scheme with these guys to make them stand apart from the regular Demonette counterparts because they're supposed to be a little slightly elevated because of their possession of, you know, their position within their army where they get to ride steeds of Slaanesh. So here we got some of them right here. We also got 5 Hellstriders of Slaanesh. As you can see, I'm starting to paint those already. So as you can see, these ones are going to be based in black. So I'm going to make these ones dark. I'm going to make these ones light, just to make them look very, very different from one another. So I'm going with a black and purple kind of color motif for these guys. And as you can see back there, you can see their riders are back there. I'm slowly working on those guys. Just got done dry brushing them in gray and lighter gray right now. So now we're moving on to the different colors for the Hellstriders. And of course, I'll put painting tutorials about how to paint those guys up as well. I also have these creatures here, these 3 Fiends of Slaanesh, these Lovecraftian, you know, really creepy out, weird looking Fiends of Slaanesh. I gotta paint these guys up next. I got a pretty good idea of what color I'm gonna paint them. I'm thinking about going with like a magenta color scheme for these guys, make them really pop and stand out in the battlefield. Because, you know, nothing says I'm deadly more than pink. People usually have this negative association with pink being this weak color or something like that, this color being something weak. But I don't know though, if something is pink and big and comes at you and slices you from limb to limb, I think it makes pink very horrifying. I think it'd be kind of hilarious if my gaming group and I agree that the most terrifying things on the battlefield are pink colored, which would actually be kind of cool, you know, be kind of neat. But anyways, I'm kind of going off on a tangent on that one. So these are going to work on these 3 next. These are going to be called the Slender Slaughterers, is what they're called. These are the Resplendent Stalkers. These 5 Seekers, and then of course we have the Nightkin, which are these 5 Hellstriders. And the last thing, of course, I gotta do is our Demon Prince of Slaanesh. Now, this Demon Prince of Slaanesh is not necessarily part of the army, but I'm keeping it around just in case if somebody gets Apotheosis, so that way it becomes a Demon Prince. Or if, you know, I want to change the list or whatever, just kind of keep my options open. Now, the nice thing about the way my army is kitted out is that I could actually, it's very flexible. It's not just set to one way. I could change things around and, you know, make different builds out of it and stuff, and that's always a good thing to have. Keep your options always open when it comes to your armies. So yeah, that's the last bit of it we're going to work on next. Probably in the next video you'll see we'll actually have all these units done, hopefully, and you guys can take a look at those and see them. So that is what our future project looks like. Hellstriders, Seekers, Fiends, and then the Demon Prince. Alright you guys, so there you have it. This is the progress we're making so far on the Shrinking Masquerade, our studio's 3,000 point Slaanesh Legion of Chaos army. And as you can see, it is looking absolutely fantastic, and we're so happy with the progress we're making so far on this army. It looks really, really awesome. I'm just really happy the way these demonettes came out. They look really, really awesome. Can't wait to see exactly these guys doing the battlefield. Of course, it's going to be some time before I can actually use these guys in the battlefield, because everyone's self-contained right now, but that is perfectly fine because wargaming is fun, but you know what's also is more fun than that is actually staying alive and being healthy. So, of course, as always, you guys, make sure that you guys are staying safe, make sure you guys are practicing social distancing, making sure you guys are sterilizing your stuff and staying healthy and staying safe. The world needs you a lot more than you realize. So you guys stay safe and healthy out there, and besides, with all this free time that we have now, the quarantining, you should be painting some miniatures, because that's what I've been doing, and this army's been moving up really, really quick because of it. So yeah, that's good for this one, you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest, greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this one, you guys. You guys stay classy, you guys stay safe. Catch you guys on the next one.